Hey guys, bit of a rainy winter's day. As you can see, one of our kerosene stoves decided it didn't want to work anymore. We've showed you these things before, we've showed you how they work. We actually had one once before that wasn't working, that the unskilled labourer managed to get going again. But to be honest, they always make us a bit nervous when they're not working properly, because even though they've got lots of safety features built in, fairly dangerous thing to have in your house, burning kerosene, particularly when you live in a really old, dried out wooden house. So we treat them with a fair bit of respect, but we want to try and work out what's wrong with this one. It starts and then it stops. By the way, the sound, one of the sounds you can hear, is actually the water. When it rains, the water goes down that well. We showed you that well years ago. It's about 12 metres down to the water. So when the water seeps in, you can hear it dripping. It's quite a nice sound when you're working in the workshop. So this thing sort of starts and then it stops. And then you try and start it again. It sort of stops and blows some smoke, and it's a bit of a thing. So some of you might have seen the video a year or so ago. One of these ones, similar to this one. We stripped it down, cleaned it out, put it back together, and it worked. So having another go at the same thing, actually did clean it out once and then started at the same problem. So this is the second go at it. It had a couple of error messages. One meant that the kerosene was not clean. So cleaned out, there's a tank at the bottom. So there's a tank on the right hand side that's removable that you use to fill it up, and there's a tank at the bottom where it feeds from, and it was actually a bit dirty, so I cleaned that out. But just suspicious that the bits and pieces that are in there. There's a filter that needs cleaning. If you have one of these things, usually the user will the only thing that users usually do to repair these is clean out the filter. So there's a box on the right hand side at the top that opens, that you put the can, and there's a filter in there that you just take out and clean. And that's usually all users do. Stripping it out down like this, opening it up, getting into it's not usually what they do. The old guy's wearing earmuffs because there's a compressor running to blow the air. That's really loud. So yeah, cleaned the filter, cleaned out the little tank of kerosene, cleaned out, that's where the actual burner is, and there's a plate there at the front that deflects the heat out. And what actually happened here was, put it all, cleaned it up, put it back together again, tried to start it, as you'll see. And it did the same fault again. It only burnt for a few seconds, and then it went out again. But when the old guy opened it up again, being very careful there to make sure the lead's unplugged. Oh, that's where that kerosene goes at the top there. But as he's mucking around here, the old fella burned his hand on a piece. Now, the metal that deflects the heat wasn't hot. Nothing in there was hot except the little metal pipe that goes to the tank, the kerosene tank. And it was just like the final straw. We just didn't trust this thing at all. They've got lots of sensors in there. If the air in the rooms hasn't got enough oxygen in it, or if it's the area inside the heat is too hot, or all sorts of things will shut it down. It's got all these safety features. So it's obviously one of those safety features that's shutting it down. If you bump it, it'll shut down, because it's in case of earthquake. If you bump it, it'll shut down. But this one little pipe, metal pipe that feeds the kerosene into the burner was really, really hot. And it was sort of like the final straw. You can't get these things repaired because the cost of a new one like that is about $100. It's about 10,000 yen. So you can't get them repaired. No one's interested in trying to fix them. And it's just too dangerous. As you've seen, we're pretty stingy with the money, and anything that we can fix and recycle and repair, we do. But in this case, it's just too dangerous. In an old wooden house, it's just too dangerous. Just don't trust it anymore. So unfortunately, this mission was a fail. But just for safety reasons, just not going to do any more to it. Just don't trust it. So I took the kerosene tin, put it back in. We'll go empty that later. Big fail. I'll have to buy another one. Anyway, that was it. Sad story. More videos coming soon.